Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a huge shift in how everything is made. I mean, think about it. We're talking about moving factories from halfway across the world to literally right in your neighborhood. And that changes everything, not just where things are made, but how.
So let's just pause on that for a second. What if your next purchase, the next thing you order online, was made just for you and only minutes away? For decades, our world has run on this massive global manufacturing system, and frankly, it's starting to show its age. But what if we could just reinvent the whole thing, make it faster, smarter, and way, way closer to home?
Right, so for as long as most of us can remember, the global economy has pretty much run on one big idea: make stuff wherever it's cheapest and then ship it everywhere else. And that created these absolutely massive, complicated supply chains that stretch all the way across the planet.
But here's the thing, that old model, it's become a huge liability. You've got high trade costs, you've got global tensions, you have all these disruptions that have shown us just how fragile those long supply chains really are. So in its place, a totally new model is starting to take shape. It's local, it's resilient, and it's secure.
Okay, so what's the solution? Well, what's really gaining ground is this idea of a network of small, super intelligent factories. They're called decentralized autonomous manufacturing hubs, or DAMs for short. So instead of one giant factory, I want you to picture hundreds of little ones, scattered exactly where we need the most. Yeah, decentralized autonomous manufacturing. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but the name actually tells you everything you need to know. These aren't just factories in the old sense. Nope, they're a network of smart, self-governing production centers. So, what does all that actually mean? Let's break it down.
Okay, so you've got three key ideas here, and it's how they work together that makes this so powerful. First, decentralized. That just means the factories are spread out close to you. Then autonomous. That means they pretty much run themselves, using AI, with humans just keeping an eye on things. And finally, reshored. That's all about bringing production back home, which makes it way more secure from all that global instability.
And the goals here, they're huge. I mean, we're talking about building resilience so we're not vulnerable to global disruptions anymore. We're talking about speed, getting you products way faster because they're made locally. And sustainability, right? Slashing that carbon footprint from all that shipping. And, maybe the coolest part, instant customization to meet local demand. It's a system that's designed to be better on, well, pretty much every single level.
All right, so how on earth do these hubs operate without a giant human workforce? It's not magic, I promise. It's more like a symphony of four key technologies all working together perfectly. They create a factory that can, for all intents and purposes, think for itself. And this is what makes these hubs so incredibly agile. First, you have modular production. Think of the factories like they're built from Lego blocks. You can swap machines in and out super fast. Then there's edge computing, which means data is processed right there on site for instant split-second decisions. Third, you've got physical AI. This is where robots use sensors to see, learn, and even fix their own mistakes. And finally, number 4, digital twins, that virtual copy of the factory where you test new ideas before you do anything in the real world. So let's dive a little deeper into that last one, the digital twin. This is so cool. I want you to think of it like a video game simulation of the real physical factory. You can test out a brand new product design, completely reconfigure the production line, or even push machines to their limits, all in software without any risk of breaking something really expensive or stopping production in the real world. It's a total game changer for innovation. But that core AI brain, it can't do it all on its own. It relies on a whole supporting tech ecosystem to make it all work. We're talking about advanced robotics, sometimes called cobots because they collaborate with humans. We're talking about 3D printing for making custom parts on demand, the Internet of Things, or IoT, connecting every single machine, and even local energy grids so the factory is truly self-sufficient. Okay, so all this tech is fascinating, for sure. But let's get to the real question, right? The so what? What does this massive shift actually mean for you, for your business, for your daily life? Well, as you're about to see, the impact is profound. It all creates this incredibly powerful domino effect. Look, when shipping routes shrink from thousands of miles down to just a few dozen, what happens? Fuel use just plummets. When robots are doing the heavy lifting, human jobs evolve. They shift from manual labor to supervising the whole system and fine-tuning the AI. And when you can produce things on demand, in hours instead of weeks, stockouts basically vanish. It becomes a thing of the past.
And let's be really, really clear about the scale of this change. We are talking about shrinking shipping distances from thousands of miles down to just tens of miles. I mean, that's a wild reduction. This single change is the key that unlocks pretty much everything else we've talked about.
So what does this mean for you day to day? Well, the practical benefits are just incredible. Next day delivery, that could become same hour delivery for a whole bunch of things. How about ordering a product designed specifically for your needs? Mass personalization becomes a reality. For businesses, they don't need those massive, expensive warehouses anymore. And maybe most importantly, our supply security, our access to essential goods is finally protected from global politics.
But as revolutionary as this all sounds, this future isn't going to happen overnight. It's not a flip of a switch. Building this out means facing some really significant challenges. There are some major hurdles we have to get over before the neighborhood factory actually becomes a reality. And these risks are not small. First off, the setup costs are huge. Building this many smart hubs is incredibly expensive, at least at first. Then you have cybersecurity. I mean, an entire network of internet-connected factories, that's a prime target for hackers. There's also a big worker skill gap. We're going to need a lot of people trained to manage AI and robotics. And maybe the biggest question of all, sure, the product is made locally, but where do all the raw materials come from? That's still a big piece of the puzzle. So when you step back and look at the big picture, this shift is about more than just technology. It really redefines our relationship with the things we buy and the communities we live in. It promises a world that's more responsive, more resilient, and way more personalized. But as we've seen, it also forces us to grapple with new questions about cost, about security, and about resources. So it leaves us with one final thought to consider. When factories are literally everywhere, what truly changes?